Okay, so again, let me start. Again, I'm starting. So good morning, everyone. Today, I'm presenting on the hybrid sculptures of the Solanki temples of Gujarat. Before I begin, I would like to thanks again to the organizers of the conference of the University of Kerala, and a special thanks to Dr. Preeta Nair for introducing me in the beautiful subject of iconography. So the sculptures are the significant medium of significant medium of the artistic expression in the temple architecture. It is the key indicator of the cultural achievement of any civilizations, and together with architecture, it is a magnificent art form. So hybrid creatures are imagined, and that these beings of folklores are born from the psychological, cultural, and religious needs of the society, which share numerous traits such as combination of animals, human, mythical creatures, fearsome in nature, and some uncanny gestures. So these cultures are the part of Indian mythology and folklore. They are bizarre creatures and sometimes even entities which are uncommon. They often feature in the stories told by the people from widely disparate cultures, countries, eras, and yet the composite being attained a special status as a creature that crossed into the divine spheres. They are very popular in the temple ornamentation as a part of the sculptures, and we have found them in one of almost all the earliest civilizations, like the Sphinx in Egypt, Lumashus in Mesopotamia, and others, etc. Next, please. Yeah. Here I'm trying to understand about the hybrid sculptures which are present in the temples of the Solankis of Gujarat. And this paper discusses the hybrid images of Varaha Naga. Very few sculptures have been found so far in the standing temples which are at present there in Baroda, there in Gujarat. And we have visited the sites of Eider, Ghumli-Varaha, Ghumli-Varaha, and Shamlaji. And the early medieval temple architecture of North India, when the Solankis of Gujarat were ruling, were profusely adorned beautifully with many of the sculptures. Next, please. So if you see the Solanki, this is a map of Solanki dynasties, and their capital was at Patan, which you can see here, Rani Ki Vav. So Rani Ki Vav is another stepwell, and then all the sites where the temples are found are nearby only. Modera, Shamlaji, Eider, and one set of temples are there in Ghumli. So they were ruling all over Gujarat and also a part of Malwa. So this is what is that territory. Next, please. So if you see the history, the Gujarat history starts from prehistoric period. There are many sites which has been explored, and then we have Chalcolithic or proto-historic period, where we have sites like Devni Mori, Lothal, etc. And then when the early historic starts, it starts from the Mauryans. And when we find the inscriptions of Ashok there, along with that, we have the Western Kshatraps who comes next. They were, the Western Kshatraps. After that, the Guptas took over this territory, and their feudatories were ruling in in Gujarat. That was the Maitraks. And after the Maitraks, there were many smaller dynasties, and they were, and finally the the Solankis took over, and they formed many feudatories over Gujarat, and there were Sandhavas, Jaithwas who ruled from 8th to 12th century. So Solanki period we start from 950 AD, and the Mool Raja was the first king, and followed by Bhimadeva I. Bhimadeva I, we find extensively temple architecture were constructed not only by him but also by his queen Udaymati. And then we have Siddharaja next, and last king was Karna I. Next, please. Yeah, Solanki art and architecture. So the art and architecture, if you see of the Solanki period, it followed Maru Gujarat style of architecture, which was found in Gujarat and Rajasthan from 9th century CE. So it is a Nagara style of temple. It is the material they used was sandstone and marble. The external walls have increasingly number of projections and recesses. The mandodara had very beautifully statues which were carved in the niches. The temples which were inside were circular form, forming a central nave. The ground plan, if you see, of the temples started from Garbhagriha, Mahamandapa, then separate was the Guha Mandapa or Sabha Mandapa, and there was a small entrance porch, and followed by, and at the entrance was the Kirti Toran, and then there was Kunda. So it was very exquisitely carved and ornamented with lots of filigree work. And the Pitha or Adhisthana, where the whole temple was standing, it had Gajathara, panels of Gajathara, Narathara, Kirtimukhas, epic stories, and all. Next, please. Yeah, so I'm showing you that some of the temples, examples of the Solanki period. This is from Mount Abu, Vimala type of temple, where you can see interior temples are very beautifully ornamented and carved. Next, please. And this is another which is in Gujarat. This is known as Navlakha temple. Another feature of this temple architecture was that on the top of Sabha Mandapa or Guha Mandapa, which is called, sometimes they constructed double story, triple story, and even 4-time story. So here you can see the double stories out here. Next, please. So as I was telling you, very few sculptures have been found of hybrid in nature. So we will start with Varaha. So Varaha is the third incarnation of the 10th incarnation of the Dashavata avatar god of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu took the form of boar in order to rescue Mother Earth or Prithvi, or she was known as Bhudevi also. From the demon called Hiranyayaksha, who dragged her in the bottom of the sea. So he took the incarnation of boar to save the Mother Earth, and he is depicted in zoomorphic form also, and in anthropomorphic form with boar's head and human body. His consort is the Mother Earth, that is Bhudevi. The earth is often depicted as a young woman lifted by Varaha. He is always bedecked in ornaments and wear Yagna Pavita. And there are many literary sources. He is first mentioned in Rig Veda along with Brahma. He was known as Prajapati. Later, Mahabharats, Purans, Samhitas, they all talk about the stories of Varaha. And there were many sculptural representations all over India. So next, please. So I'm just giving you a very quick chronological order of the sculptures found. So this is from Mathura, that is dated to 1st, 2nd century CE. This is found in the Met Museum. They are built in red sandstone. The right one is from Met Museum. This is from, the left one is from Mathura Museum. Next, please. This is of the Gupta period. This is of both form, zoomorphic and anthropomorphic form. So in Udaygiri, we have found the one, and Iran Bor inscription. The inscription is also written there, was made by during the time of Chandragupta Vikramaditya. So here, next, please. This is the 7th century CE from Badami, 6th, 7th century CE, Badami. We find Varaha in a typical sculptural depiction, like his left leg is always bent and resting on the hoods of Adi Shesha or Adi Naga. And Bhudevi is always seated on his left shoulder or left elbow or left, on the left side of it is always there. But in Ellora, we find that he's carrying a kind of Bhudevi in his hands. He's always forehand. He's carrying the attributes of Vishnu. And next, please. In 8th to 10th century, we find in Pallava period also facing towards right. And this is a coin of Mihir Bhoja of the Pratihar king. And in his coins, Varaha is depicted, which shows they were Vaishnavites and they were following Vishnu. Next, please. Then this is the final, beautifully depicted, beautifully sculpted iconography during the Hoysala period. Next, please. So when we are going to the next session, that is serpents or the Nagas. Serpent worship was a primitive, like they were the primitive tribe who used to use worship Naga. And Naga is a divine or semi-divine race of half human, half serpent beings that reside in the Netherlands or Patala, and can occasionally, in the literature, they say that they can occasionally take the form of human. There were three forms, like holy human with snakes on their heads and necks, common serpents, or half snakes, half human. So they are depicted in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. And literatural evidences, we find them in Veda, in Sutra, in epics, in Purans. They form there were three kind of serpents which were depicting, like, we have the Sheshanaga, the Taksha, and so their attributes is 3 eyes, 4 hands. There are countenance of red color, wearing Karanda Mukuta and ornaments, and always stand on Padma Pitha. Their hoods comprises of 3 or 5 or 7 or 9. They have split tongue. They always carry shield or a sword, and sometimes they are in Anjali Mudra also. And the first TC figures of this kind of Nagas were found 1650 BCE in Chirand in Bihar. And Naga with 5 hoods were also found in the 2nd century BCE from Bharut. Next, please. Okay, so again, I'm giving a little bit of, the chronology of Naga sculpture. So this is from Devghar, and he's in Anjali Mudra with 7 hoods. Next, please. This is 6th century Badami, and next, please. And Naga sometimes is also along with Nagi. Next, please. This is from Konark, very beautifully sculpted Naga with hoods, and he's carrying his attributes. And this is from Belur in Halibut. Next, please. So now we go back to our study. So Eider is a hilly fort which is situated in North Gujarat, I showed you. And this was first occupied by Maitraks, and they had built many temples. Now most of the temples are lying in ruins, and the sculptures are all scattered around. And later on, it was taken by the chiefs of later period, and finally it was captured by Alauddin Khilji's general. So he built a fort and a palace there. So when we see, next please, when we see the sculpture, it was lying around, and in the modern times, it is a part of a niche which was a part of a temple. Now the temple is missing, but the niche must have fallen down. This is they have smeared it with orange sindoor, and they are worshipping it as a Hanuman. But if you can see, the figure has the head of the Varaha has a snout. Next to Varaha, I'm not able to, this is the figure of Bhudevi on his left shoulder. Both the hands are resting on his legs, or the thighs of both the legs. In his upper right hand, he is holding a gada, and the upper right hand, he is holding upper left hand. His Bhudevi is seated, and there is Naga sculptures also, which is being seen at the base. So this was a part which is lying, and it was found by one of my students who was exploring this site. Next, please. And then Ghumli was the capital of Sandhavas, who were also the feudatories of the Solankis, and later it was taken by Jethwas. That the whole is a temple complex. They have built many complex of temples which are very similar to that of the Solanki architecture. So next, please. They have very elaborate designs. And in one of the temple complex, next to the there is a villager's house. So in that house, we found this Varaha fragment, which must have belonged to pre-Solanki period, because this material which is found is green schist. Green schist is not available in that region of Saurashtra. And we can see the robust body of Varaha, which somewhat similar to that of the Gupta Maitrika style. So could be possible that it was brought from somewhere else. And this is the next, when you see the Naga, it is the broken part. Both are lying very near to each other. So these are both are the similar parts. It stands more than 5 feet tall. And here we see the Lord Varaha is standing very majestically on the Adi Nagas, and Bhudevi is seated on his left shoulder. In his left upper hand, he is holding the chakra. In his left lower hand, it is placed on his left thigh. Bhudevi is Ardha Padmasana. She's seated. She's looking very happy and adoringly. She's looking at the Lord, and he is majestically standing and wearing all kind of ornaments and a Yagna Pavita also. So this same sculpture, his feet is found here on the Naga. There are two Nagas who are entwined with each other. They are facing on the opposite sides, and they are in Anjali Mudra, and they are also wearing Ekavali. So this is the typical thing which was found. They didn't allow us to put a scale in that. So that is what I'm sorry about. Next, please. So Modera. Modera is the sun temple, which is situated in the village of Mehsana district of Gujarat. This town is known for sun temple. And the town is located on the banks of Pushpavati river. Modera Sun Temple was made by Bhima I of the Chalukya dynasty of early 11th century CE. And the temple complex again is divided into the three parts, which I told you. It's Guha Mandapa, so Sabha Mandapa, Kunda in front. So, and there is also two like broken toranas which are lying there. And the temple is designed in such a way, the sculpture is missing. The main sculpture of sun is missing in the Garbhagriha. But it was designed in such a way that during every equinox, the first rays of rising sun would fall on the head of the sun god. So this you can see the circular pillars, which is and one of the beautiful thing is in the Sabha Mandapa there are 52 pillars which depicts the story of epic. So Ramayana especially. So there are niches and there are beautifully sculptured pillars which we can see. This is the porch, open porch, then it goes into Sabha Mandapa, and this is the tank. And the tank also has steps which has niches which holds the sculptures of different avatars of Vishnu. Next, please. So here we find in one of these niches of the pillars, this figure of Varaha, and maybe due to the lack of space, they are not able to show the sculptures very properly. Here we can see the Bhudevi is seated on the left thigh of the Lord, and he's looking up though, and he's wearing all kind of jewelries and all, but it is made out of red sandstone, which has, you know, not very clean now. It has so we can only it is not very clearly could be seen, and so we can see his two hands, lower hands, but the upper hands seems to be broken and missing, and so this is one of them which is found in Modera. Next, please. Okay, the Rani Ki Vav. Rani Ki Vav is a step well which is situated in Patan, the capital. It was ancient time. It was known as Anhil Pataka or Patan in Gujarat. It is situated in the Saraswati River, And it was built by the Queen Udaymati in the memory of her husband Bhima Deva I. As I told you, all the temple architecture was built during that period. It is a step well which was commissioned in 1063, and it took 20 years to build it. And it is classified as a Nanda type of step well. It measures approximately 213 feet long, 66 feet wide, and 92 feet deep. There are 7 floors which you can go in, and in the depth. And at the end of the 7th floor, you have a circular staircase which you can reach the water. But today, due to conservation and preservation of the site, tourists are only allowed till the 1st floor only. And on the either side of the sculptures, if you can see from here, we have beautiful sculptures of Dashavatara, we have Matrikas, we have Apsaras depicted. Next, please. So these are some of the sculptures, and this is a filigree work, beautifully done, which is now adopted by the famous Patola silk saris. They take the designs from here, and the silk saris depict these kind of filigree work on them. And these are some of the sculptures which are beautifully sculpted. Next, please. So this is a sculpture of Varaha. He is seen standing on a platform with his right leg straight and the left leg bent, and is resting on the hoods of the Nagas. And in his left hand, he is holding Shankha, and his lower left hand, he is holding Chakra. And on the left elbow or shoulder, Bhudevi is seated, and she is caressing his snout. She is wearing kundala and sari. And his right upper hand, he is holding Gada, and his right lower hand, it is resting on his thigh, right thigh. So here he is wearing different kinds of ornaments like armlets, kamarband, wristlets, anklets, and all. And on the side of these panels, we can see the figures which are in niches are of the Dasha avatars, and in a different pose. And on the top, there are gods and goddesses who are showering flowers to the Lord who has rescued Mother Earth. So this is and down below we can see the panel of Kirti Mukhas also. So next, please. Okay, Shamlaji is a temple town. We can find many temples in Shamlaji, which belong to Gupta period or Maitreya period. And many of, if one explores the whole region, many of the sculptures are lying around. Some of them has been collected and taken to the museum, and also brought to Baroda Museum also. And again, here you can see the temple has the 2nd floor and the 1st floor and the 2nd floor. And on the panels, we have these beautiful sculptures of the gods and goddesses, and the story of Ramayana and Apsaras and all. Shamlaji is again situated very near to Rani Ki Vav and Modera in the North Gujarat. It is in the Aravali district of Gujarat, and the temple is dedicated to Vishnu. And it was destroyed in the later times when the Muslims invaded this territory. But it was again restored and was again reconstructed. And the temple, the sculpture of the temple, the deity is of a later period. So there are many temples of in that region of Pratihars of the Guptas and others. So next, please. The temple of Shamlaji has this figure of Varaha, which is little different. Like, this is on the walls of the niches of the temple. And here it is, the figure is similar to that of Modera, where lack of space, they are not able to depict all the attributes of Varaha. Here the figure is looking straight. He's holding a shank in his left hand, and some kind of scepter in his right hand. The upper two hands are broken from the finger or from the wrist. It's not the lower, only a portion of it is visible. He's here again wearing Yagna Pavita and all kind of jewelries like necklaces, armlets, wristlets and all. And this is one of the kind of from Shamlaji. Next, please. Okay, Shamlaji, we have the Naga sculptures also, which is dedicated, it is, since it's a Vishnu temple, they are showing Naga Dahan by Krishna or Vishnu himself. So there are these Nagis who are standing in Anjali Mudra, and the Naga who has 5 hoods and 3 and 2 hoods. So, you know, the Nagis have 3 or 2 hoods, and they are standing in Anjali Mudra. They are also in carrying some kind of gifts. Here the Naga is wearing all kind of jewelries, and he is with folded hands. And here Vishnu or Krishna is also depicted as if he is killing the Naga. Next, please. Okay, so hybrid or theomorphic images are an important source for understanding the evolution in the relationship between man and animals. The ancient writers, maybe who had, produced these kind of imaginary sculptures, wanted us to protect our environment and teach us to live peacefully with the animals and birds since the nature also have created them. The Indian mythological stories depict moral values through these human and animals, and also allowing us to live in harmony with the combination of the both. And the fabulous combination of human and animal or bird forms have resulted in numerous types of deities in Indian mythology. They are unique in appearance and marked as important portion, whether in our mythology or in worship places. So hybrid figures modernized Indian mythological personalities into new aesthetic parameters that resulted in a range of composite being found with new look and new meaning, and not only in the artwork, but also in the moral values of our daily life. Thank you.